Look, I had a Regina George type of friend. So if you are dealing with a frenemy or if you are dealing with bullying, then I get it. Let's talk about it. And here's my advice to you. Hello, everyone. We are back with another story time because I have a bunch of stories to tell y'all. So if you like my story times or if you love anything related to self-help, lifestyle, and music, then welcome to my channel. Hit the subscribe button, like this video, and if you are returning, then you know how I feel about you. Thank you as always. Okay, so we're gonna take this all the way back to middle school. So let's talk about this. All right, so I mentioned this in a few videos, if you've seen it or not. If you do not know, then I used to get teased a lot. Definitely teased about the clothes I wore, the sneakers I wore, my hair never being permed, because my mom did not believe in giving me a perm since I was so young. So I always been teased from pre-K to 8th grade. So I was in one school in pre-K, got teased there, and then I moved to another school in Harlem called Family Academy, and I was there from kindergarten to 8th grade. Yeah, a long time. So I've dealt with on and off bullying throughout the time, on and off teasing throughout the time. And it was this girl, right? So let's call her A, like Pretty Little Liars. So I've heard about her prior to me getting to middle school. I believe she was there in elementary school. I believe she got there around 3rd grade or 4th grade. This is about 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago. So look, if I got the timelines all wrong, then forgive me. People would say we looked alike. They was like, oh, you and her look alike, you know, y'all have similar features. And I would be hyped because I considered her so pretty, and a lot of other people did too. And she was one of the most popular girls in school, one of the most flyest girls in school, one of the girls with the most longest hair in school. And me, again, I got teased about what I wore. I got teased about my hair not being permed. I got teased about my hair length, because if you know, like when your hair is not permed, then you know it's not going to look as long as all the other girls who get their hair permed. So my hair was like, I had the natural movement before the whole natural movement even went on, and I hated it. I wanted a perm so bad, because I'm like, yo, like even though my hair was shorter than a lot of the other girls, it was always very thick back then. It was just so ignorant how people portrayed hair, like, oh, your hair is too short, or oh, your hair is so long, like, you know, kid stuff. I really admired her because, again, she had a lot of things that I wish I had. I was hyped when people compared me to her or said I even looked like her a little bit. Me and her would see each other in the hallway, and when someone would mention like, oh, y'all look alike, or in the cafeteria like, oh, y'all look alike, me and her would kind of like giggle about it and go on about our day. We did not end up becoming friends until like middle school, because we ended up having the same class together in 6th grade. And I think that's when the friendship really started to form. Again, I could be wrong. It probably was 5th grade. All right. But from my memory, I remember us together in 6th grade and up. So that's what I remember. So anyways, we had the same class in 6th grade, and we started becoming friends. Like, I forgot how, but we just started becoming friends. I was like so happy that she wanted to be my friend. This was around a time when I had very low self-esteem, when I was very, very insecure, because again, I've been teased for so many years that I've always just heard like I wasn't good enough, I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't fly enough, I wasn't all this stuff. So mentally, like, I just felt so low about myself. So again, like, I was just super hyped that we even started to become friends. So the friendship started off so good at first. Like, I'm like, oh my God, like, again, it kind of like felt like a Regina George, like, oh my God, like this popular girl who a lot of the boys like, who a lot of the girls admire. She's like my best friend. She's becoming like my best friend. And on top of that, she didn't live too far from me. Like, she didn't live too far from me at all. Like, I lived in Harlem and she lived probably about like 10 blocks away. So, you know, I would go see her sometimes outside of school and all this other stuff. Like, so it was like really a good bond forming. So over time, like, she would do like little things to like kind of like show like her dominance in the friendship, like inch and inch and inch. And, you know, they're going to slowly creep their way into seeing what they can get away with. They're going to slowly creep their way to see what you will allow. So, of course, I kept allowing like the little small things that she would do, like the little small attitudes that she would give me, the little small ways she would talk to me. So over time, of course, as I kept ignoring it and just letting it fly, because I'm like, I adore this friendship so much. Over time, it became like a pretty much abusive relationship. Like it became a pretty abusive friendship. She had a huge attitude problem. Definitely did. It was times when she would get an attitude for like any little reason, like just like so minute, she would get an attitude. It was times when I'll be in class with her and I would see her with an attitude. And sometimes it had nothing to do with me, but sometimes she would have an attitude with me and she would act real cold towards me, or she would just act real mean towards me. And I'll be like, oh my God, did I do something? Like, what did I do? Like, why is she so mad at me? And I would sit in class so like lost about why she was so mad at me or why she was just being so mean. Like, so again, sometimes it had nothing to do with me. Other times it did. So I was playing like a lot of like back and forth in my head a lot of times in class. Anywho, in 6th grade, I was doing really, really good in school. I've always done good in school for the most part. Like I've been on the honor roll. I've always been like a real star student until 6th grade hit. So I've noticed that when 6th grade hit and when me and Hub started becoming like closer and closer, I was still doing good in school. I remember I did so good in 6th grade that I got invited to a program called Inner City Outings. If you know, you know. I miss that program so much. We would go camping. We would like do like community service activities where I would meet other kids. And it was just such a good time. Like Susan was like the head lady. So Susan, like I hope I one day see you again. But Susan was so nice. Her co-workers were so nice. Like it was a real like, we went towards like Bear Mountain. We just did so much outdoor activities. It was a great kid experience. So I remember in 6th grade, my teacher had shouted me out in the class because she was like, Danae, you are doing so phenomenal. Let's all give a round of applause to Danae for doing so good. You're doing so great. I'm so proud of you. So everybody clapping, right? Like everybody clapping. And I remember I looked over to her to see, because, you know, I was like, oh my God, like, how does she feel? Because I cared so much about what she thought. And I looked at her and she had like this most annoyed look on her face. Like she was just so annoyed that everybody was clapping for me. Like she was like, yes, as my friend, she was clapping. As my friend, my bad. She was clapping like that, like had the most irritable look on her face. And after that, I really felt like after that day, my grades were still pretty good for the most part. But after that, it slowly started to sink because I've noticed that that made her mad. Like, yo, like now I'm looking back at this, like the way my mindset was like, I don't want to use the word weak, but, you know, but I was just a kid, you know, like, but oh my God, my mindset now, if I seen someone clapping for me in a hating ass way, I'm going to be laughing about it. Like, let me just do better. But, you know, I was a kid back then. So I had like such a fragile mind. I felt so, you know, I was already very like, had a lot of low self-esteem. So I kind of like sabotaged myself to make sure that my friendship with her would be okay. So anyways, I started to slowly slip. I feel like it was a part of like me wanting to make sure she was okay, and then me started to become way too consumed about what she thought of me. So my grades just started to slowly sink. And then on top of that, I was getting teased, right? Like I was always getting teased, but I feel like the teasing got worse from 6th to 8th grade. So it was kind of like, how on earth am I gonna really like super focus and get like the best grades when I'm in my head so much? Like, so from there, I really feel like after that day, she started to become one of the most smartest kids in the class. Like from 6th to 8th grade, I felt like she became like super consistent with her grades. Like she was always doing good in school. I'm not gonna take that from her, but I feel like she got better ever since after that. Like I really felt like that. It was like a consistent mind game I was going through with her. It was times she talked so down on me. She would be so mean. Like it was times she would literally just yell in my face. Tell me like, oh, why would you do this? Why would you do that? And I'll be like, okay. Like, okay. And I remember this boy, one time she yelled at me. We had like this Chinese store block. I think that restaurant is still there, but she yelled at me on that block. And I remember this boy saw that. But everybody else was used to it. They was used to how she talked to me. That's the crazy part about it. But this one boy, I guess like he would see it. I guess he really opened up his eyes that day and was like, what the fuck? And she just yelled at me like in my face and like blah, 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 blah. And I just stood there and I didn't do shit. Like I was like, it looked like how a mom would yell at her child and the child just stands there. Like literally, like that's exactly how it looked. And I remember he was like, yo, she got you on smash. Like she got you on smash. Like damn, like, and I just went home. Like, I think I just went home with her after that. Like nothing ever happened. Like, so it was just like, oh my God, like it was the most, yo, like I feel like I never really been through verbal abuse, but that was like the biggest verbal abuse I've ever been through in my life. Like even from boys, I never went through nothing like that. But with her, that was my very first experience of true verbal, emotional, and mental abuse, y'all. Like I experienced that from young, from a female who was supposed to be my friend. I remember this one time where and there was also something like she wanted all the attention on her. She always wanted my attention on her. Like, so one time we had like, I had this other friend who I'm still really cool with to this day, and it was me, her, and like one other girl, because slowly I started to like go towards them as like my friends as well, because it felt more like a safe space. Like they didn't do to me what she would do. Like they was more of a safe space to me. Like they were very cool. They were very chill. Like they were very like just really welcoming. Like they had their own thing going on. And then slowly I like creeped my way in to the point that I was like low key in with them after a while still being like quote unquote friends with her. Like nothing really changing, but I would really be towards more of them because I'm like, I knew deep down inside that this is not how friendship should be. So after a while, I'm like, yeah, let me go somewhere else where I feel like it should feel more safe. So I started chilling with them more. So one day we had like this matching outfits kind of day. I forgot what it was. Some kind of like you could tell like from the outfits that you wore that was who you was with. Like those were like, y'all made up this plan together. So me and the two other girls, we had like this matching outfit thing going on, and we looked so cute. Like we actually did a really good job with it. And I remember that day, she didn't participate in that. And I remember that whole day, she was super nice to me. Like she just kept like talking to me. She was just like, she sat on my lap and was like talking to me like, hey girl, like, you know, just being so like all over me, because it was kind of like on some like, wow, like you giving them attention. And she saw that I really wasn't like bothered with her that day. I really wanted to be with them. So it was like her way of like trying to get all of my attention. And she knew I was a sucker for her attention. So in a sense, I was kind of like, oh my God, I'm on her good side today. She's being so nice to me. So she would do mind games like that. Another time, I told her something in confidence about these two girls that I knew in the school who everybody knew could fight really good. I forgot what I said to her, but she went back and told them. I remember they pressed me about it, and I'm looking like, wow, like they was like, did you say this, that, and the third? I'm like, yeah. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was like, yeah. So I was prepared to get jumped. I was like, all right, they about to pop on me. Let's get it. So of course I was scared. I didn't want to get jumped, but I was also ready to go 10 toes down and fight, like fuck out of here, you know? So I'm like, okay, like, but while they pressing me and while I'm admitting to it, I looked at her, this bitch is just sitting there staring with a smile on her face like, I swear to God. Yeah. So she's just staring at me like with a smirk on her face like, oh, I hope they hit her. I hope they hit her. Like you could tell like she was just so happy. Like, and they didn't hit me. Nothing happened, but they stopped fucking with me after that. They never really fucked with me anyway, so it really didn't make a difference, but they really made it known like they was not fucking with me. They just walked away. And I was like, what the fuck? So of course, right, y'all, this happened from 6th to 8th grade. So as time was going on, my blood was just boiling more and more and more and more. And slowly I'm getting more and more mad. Like, and I didn't realize it, but I was just slowly getting pissed the fuck off with this girl. Oh my God, it was time she was like, oh my God, you have no type of ass. Your ass is like this wall. It's super flat, like that's your butt. Like, she never defended me. Now that I think about it, I'm like, in what ways was she really a friend? Like, it was times when she wanted to hang out. And y'all remember AIM. If y'all know AIM, y'all know. And she one time told me, hey, I want to go outside. This is after school. I think it was like during the summer one time, like one middle school summer. We was out of school and she wanted to hang out. And we would hang out a lot for the most part, even like, you know, out of school. But one time I was really not feeling it. I think I had cramps or something like that. Because around that time I started to get my cycle. And so one time I really wasn't feeling it. I'm like, yo, like, I'm really not feeling well. I wrote this to her on AIM. That's how we usually communicated. And I remember this girl threw a whole AIM status and was like, oh, now certain people don't want to chill because they quote unquote have not feeling well. I'm like, what the I can't feel well. Yo, like, it was just stuff like that. Like, and I'm just like, and you know, guys, it's just what I remember. I do not remember everything, but these are like highlights from what I remember. I know for a fact she did way more than this. But again, I'm really trying to think, in what sense was she really a friend? Like, I guess, like, I don't know, like sometimes including me in things, or like, again, sometimes making me feel good. That's why I'm saying, like, it was really like mental, emotional, verbal abuse, because that's what a man or someone, a woman who's in a relationship would do. They would, you know, break you down as much as they can, but they will feel like, oh, I'm the only one who can lift you up, but then I'll break you down too. So don't ever get too comfortable. That's exactly what she would do. So she would build me up because she knew how much I cared about her opinion, but then she would break me down in a heartbeat. So it was like a real big control thing. So that's what I remember as far as like what she would do to me. So one time I was done. This was either 7th or 8th grade. I think it was 8th grade. And one day, because she would have a thing about embarrassing me in class too, like just totally being rude to me in class, like just in front of everyone. She did this shit a lot. Like, everybody was kind of like used to the abuse that I would kind of go through. Like, they was used to it. Like, that's just, you know, yelling at Danae again. Nothing to see here. Regular shit. Like, Danae not gonna do nothing. But one day in 8th grade, we was in a class. I remember exactly how this class looked. Like, because that was a day. You know how classrooms used to have like the U shape kind of thing? So everybody kind of sat in the U shape. That's where all the tables was. Table straight, and then you got the U right here. So it was kind of like that set up with like 2 tables in the middle of that U shape. So I think that I was in the tables in the middle. And I think she was sitting more on the U shape on the left. And I forgot, yo, I do not remember what happened, y'all. I think I just got to a point that I couldn't take it anymore. Like, something in me just clicked. It just snapped. It just did something. And she yelled at me again in class. You guys, I spazzed on her. I spazzed. I tried to fight her. Like, it was so bad. Like, it was just like, and I'm reaching in my bag. So of course I yell at her like, who the fuck you talking to? Like, I just went berserk. Like, I don't remember what I said, but you could tell everybody was like, it was like drop dead silent. And I got up, and I remember I had a scarf in my bag. You know what? I think I was preparing. I think it was slowly like I was preparing for this day. Like, as I kept going to school, I'm like, let me just pack a scarf because I feel like one day I'm gonna beat this bitch up. I kept packing my scarf every day before going to school. And I think I was packing my scarf for like months. And even when she would yell at me, I was always like too hesitant and too scared to like do anything. I kept being like, all right, whatever. But it was still boiling. And that one day, that goddamn water hit the top. It hit the top of the top. And I'm like, I'm blacking on her. And I'm trying to take out my scarf, but I think everybody thought I was trying to take out a weapon, but I really was trying to take out my scarf. I didn't know where my scarf was at. I had a bun, and I didn't want my bun getting pulled out because I had a fake bun. I'm like, I don't want this getting pulled out. So I'm trying to find my scarf, and it was not, oh my God. But a part of me wished that I would have just hopped over that table and whooped her ass, scarf or not. It didn't happen because I got pulled out the class way too soon by a teacher. But I'm trying to like dig in my bag, like, where's my fucking scarf? Where's my scarf at? I'm trying to put it on and I'm getting pulled out. I'm like, you fucking bitch, I'm about to fuck you up. Like, I'm just going crazy. Like, got pulled into the, I think the principal's office after that. They pretty much had to separate me from her all day. Like all day. I think they let me back in like the end of the day into class, or they just let me sit in that office. But I know I was in that office for hours. They definitely did not let me go to lunch with her. Like they definitely was like, no, you got to stay in here, because of course everybody knows lunchtime is the best time to fight. So they was like, oh, absolutely not. You got to stay in the principal's office or wherever I was at. And I was ready. I was so ready. But you know what, you guys? That was the day I was like, I'm never tolerating this shit ever again. It was like a rebirth. Like, it was like, hi, Danae. Nice to meet you. How are you? Like, it was like, here you go. Like, it was just like the most empowering, liberating, the most like welcome moment I've ever had, I think, to this day. Like, it was like, it set the tone for how I became the rest of my life. Danae, don't you ever let someone treat you like that ever again. Don't you ever let someone talk to you like that ever again. Don't you ever do this to yourself ever again. I don't give a fuck what you think of yourself. I don't care what people think of you. I don't care how people try to treat you or say that you're not fly enough, pretty enough, or whatever else. Don't you ever let anyone treat you like you are less than a fucking human being. Like, that was like the true awakening that I needed. So after that, it was all good. I cooled down a lot, of course. I don't think I saw her until like the next day. It was either the end of the same day or the next day. So by then I was super calm. But let me tell you something. That shit stopped right there. Everything she was doing, all the down talking on me, all the yelling at me, all the just everything she was ever doing that was like, this is my peasant, this is my charity case, that shit was long gone. I think after that, it took a few days for us to talk again. I forgot how we started talking again. But let me tell you something, that shit turned into an actual friendship and how a friendship should be. But deep down inside, to me, I just never looked at her the same. She was scary as hell. And I kind of knew she was scary as hell because I knew who she would talk to crazy, like me. And I saw who she would not talk to crazy, like the girls who could fight and anyone who could, like, she knew could fight or would like check her in a heartbeat. Like, she knew she would pick her battles, feel me? Like, so I knew she's like the OG of picking her battles. She did not keep the same energy with everyone at all. I really saw from that it did not matter if you was like popular or pretty or fly. You just had to not be scary at all. And when I saw that about her, when I saw how timid and how fragile she really was, that shit was like, God damn it, Danae. God damn it, you let this girl do this to you for all these years? She's like, what? She's not even like that. She ain't even try to fight you back. She ain't try to come at you after yelling at her. She stood there while you try to find your scarf and fight her. She literally stood there, like, just standing there. She ain't try to come at me. Like, and even how she treated me after that was just like, oh, okay, I see you're not playing with me, so let me be nice to you. Like, I think I'm just like still reflecting like, yo, wow. So again, we pretty much became normal friends after that. She never really emotionally, verbally, or mentally abused me after that. It became pretty normal. Like, you know, I would go to her house. I would spend the night at her house. I kept chilling with her because I still admired her. And for the most part, I did still care about her when she was nice to me. It made me care for her, you know? But for starters, I found my voice. For two, she's scary as hell. And three, that's not the kind of friendship that I really want long term. If you had to do all this to me because you felt like you were higher than me, then you're not genuine. And I knew that from back then. So slowly, I started to like distance myself from her. We just stopped talking. Especially when it was time to go to high school, I just moved on. I really started chilling with The other girl I was telling you about, I had a whole summer with her. For me having that whole summer with her, like, that was it. Like, that became like my friend. Like, that was the summer before going into high school. So I really just chilled with her. Like, I just wanted to be around her. She was always nice to me. She was always good to me, despite everything going on around me. She never really made me feel like, you know, inadequate or whatever. So it was like, this is how friendship should be. That was really that for the most part. But I moved on. And then from there, I mean, honestly though, from there, it kind of started like a pattern of me being a little bit more violent in a sense. I started to feel like, okay, violence, trying to fight someone is the best way for me to get my way and for people to respect me. I used to play fight with this boy sometimes. And he was one of the people that teased me, but he would also play fight with me sometimes. So it was kind of like fighting, like, you know, play fighting with someone who kind of taught you the ropes. So, or kind of like sharpens your skills. Not really taught me, but more so like sharpened my skills. By the time I went to high school, I started to feel like hitting and fighting was a way for people to respect me. My freshman year in school, and this girl, rest in peace to her, but I remember she said something like funny, kind of like making like a little joke, and the whole class heard it. And of course, with me having like a little bit of PTSD from being embarrassed back in middle school from pretty much, I was like, oh no, we're not gonna do this again. My defense mechanism is more up because I'm like, I'm in a new school now, and what I'm not gonna allow people to do is treat me like they treated me in middle school. It's a fresh new start, new people, new faces. We ain't doing this. We ain't gonna have a part two of this. Like, so I remember she said something in a joking way, and I got up and I punched her arm. Of course, that's not the answer, but that's just how my mind flowed at the time. She handled it really well because I could have had a fight right on the spot my freshman year. I think it was like my second week in school. Probably my first day in class, I think I punched her. But I was wilding. And she handled that so well. She was just like, oh, all right. No problem. But she could have easily got up and been like, bitch, what the fuck? And it hit me, and we could have started fighting right there. So RIP to her. I'm really happy how she handled that. It was like a thing, like I didn't mean no harm. It was just, I went through so much trauma in my previous school that I'm like, I'm never dealing with this or any kind of embarrassment ever again. High school, I had like 2 fights. High school, I smacked a girl in the back of her head when she embarrassed me too much. Got suspended a few times. So it was like, of course, I felt like I was surrounded by the wrong people, but of course, a part of me was like, it was a defense mechanism from middle school to never let people treat me crazy in high school. So I give myself a lot of grace. So here's my advice to you. For starters, do not be going around hitting people. Let's start with that. Do not be like me. Hitting and fighting is not always the answer, okay? Now, of course, if someone hits you, you have every right to defend yourself or call the cops, file a lawsuit, whatever you gotta do. If someone is verbally, mentally, emotionally abusing you, talking down on you or whatever, I would not say try to fight them. I would say speak up for yourself. Speak up for yourself and do not let it boil to the point that you are going to want to fight them and you spaz out on them. That is one thing that I wish I would have done different. I wish I would have checked her right then and there. I did not check her, so it kept growing and growing and growing, and she kept treating me worse and worse and worse. The first hint that anyone is trying to play you, you can either, I don't know, do comebacks with them and be like, yeah, you want to come at me, I could come back at you too, don't play with me. Or you could be like, you know what, that made me feel uncomfortable. Don't do that again. And if they do not respect that, they do not respect you. I know it can be scary to stand up for yourself, to stand up to a bully, to stand up to someone who might be bigger than you, more popular than you, more pretty than you, quote unquote. If you feel like someone is just more than you, I don't care. If you feel like someone could probably beat your ass, I don't care. You have to stick up for yourself. You have to stand up for yourself. You have to be like, you know what? Even if you're scared, do it scared. I know it's easier said than done, but you have to do it scared. You have to do it like, because I'm telling you, you are only hurting yourself. The more you let someone walk all over you, talk down on you, treat you any kind of way, you are only hurting yourself in the long run. This happened to me back in middle school, y'all, like middle school. And I still find myself sometimes getting triggered by people with attitude problems, by people who try to talk to me all crazy. I mean, of course, anyone would get triggered by that, but I really would get triggered by people who just try to like play me in any kind of way. Like, it still is a trigger for me. And this happened again about 20 years ago. So this could cause a long-term effect on you. It also made me more violent over time. It made me want to fight people and hit people and just be violent in general, to feel like that was my way of protecting myself and getting my point across, which is not always the best answer, right? You always say things in the most calmest way possible. Like, hey, I don't like how you said that. I don't like what you did. I don't like what you said about me, whatever. Please do not do that again. Say that, you know? And again, how the person handles it will tell them a lot with how they feel about you. If they handle it in a way of like, oh, fuck out of here, like they don't care about you, cut them off. But if they are like, oh my God, I'm sorry about that, I didn't see what I did, but I apologize if it offended you, that's a person that actually cares about your feelings. Now, you can also see if they care about your feelings if they are literally trying to work on it. If they are saying sorry and they are still doing it, cut them off, because it's like, I already told you what it is. I already told you how I feel. Why are you still doing this? You cannot control everything, but you could control how you let people into your life, how close you let them. It's all about protecting your peace. No one else is responsible for protecting your peace besides you. No one else is responsible for protecting your mental health besides you. Like, no one else is responsible for that. You are. So I had to learn that. This is something that, of course, I am still working on, is to not let people play with me in any kind of way. Like, let's not do that. I don't want to fight anymore. You got to really trigger me for me to want to put hands on you. Like, really, like either hit me or really say some shit for me to want to put my hands on you. Because for the most part, I'd rather just like talk it out. I'd rather just cut you off, block you, you know, whatever else. But physical is like my last resort, because look, I'm too pretty for physical stuff. We getting older. I'm like 30. No one got time to be in back pain and having sores when they wake up, or a nail breaking, or a weave getting loose. I invest way too much into myself to be out here fighting. Okay, like, so that's a last resort. But definitely stick up for yourself. Definitely. You will feel so much better if you just do. Again, I know it could be scary. I know it could feel like your back is against the wall, but you got to start somewhere, because I'm telling you, if you do not start somewhere, it will just literally mess with you for more and more years to come, or this person will get worse and worse and worse. Whether it's a friendship, relationship, family, whatever. I don't care. Speak up for yourself, because you matter just as much as they do. You are human. Y'all bleed the same. We will all die one day. So do not let anyone treat you like you are the bottom of the bottom, because you are not. I hope that you enjoyed my story time. I know it could feel like, Danae went through stuff like this. Yes, the hell I did. But again, it gives me so much peace to know that I can be helping someone out there. I know I'm a very happy person. I'm a really positive person. I'm a really peaceful person. So you will never think I go through all these things. But boy, I went through some shit. Okay? But I think it's just like, that's what the beauty of healing is, because as you heal more, you learn to really just accept what you went through, to give yourself grace. And it's like a part of me is healing my inner child. My inner child is still in me, and she is like so happy of how far I came. She's so happy about me turning whatever pain she went through into power. Turn your pain into power. And that's exactly what I'm doing. When I do these story times, it's me being vulnerable. It's me being real and raw, no matter what you might think of me, no matter what you may think of how I should have did something, how I should have handled something. This is me being real, because we act like we all have it figured out, and we really don't. This is for someone who feels like they are lost or don't have anyone to relate to, or who could relate to me in any kind of way. Like, it's okay. Like, I get it. Okay, like, I'm your safe space, and it's okay. So I love this video. I'm so happy I made this. This is like it's like I've been kind of healed from this whole situation, but talking about my experiences heals me even more. So it's like, whew. And as far as the girl, I've never seen her again. As far as A, I've never seen A again. I never heard from A again. I don't even see her on social media. So I don't even know where A is at. A was just like a part of my life that I could just talk about, but I don't have no updates. So I'm sorry. Will I probably ever see A again? I don't know. Will I ever probably come across A again? I don't know. Will A probably see this video? I don't know. Everybody that I talk about, honestly, is just like, they probably doing better. They're probably more healed. They're probably a better person, but I'm gonna still share my story. So it is what it is. All right, y'all. Well, I love y'all. Be safe, be well. And if you have any relatable experiences, any questions, any comments, drop them below. Love you all and take care of yourself. Bye.